So today I will be talking about operating system, the next part which you have in your syllabus. So in general, you have to study about operation system in details, and then as an example of an operating system, I would go on to Linux, a few commands on Linux which you have practiced on your Android. We are able to do certain things on Android phone also. All the C programming also can be done on Android, and also all other programmings can be done. I had given you a link on CodeChef, which you can use for doing your programmings, as well as you can use a terminal in Android. Termux was one of them, which there are 101 types of terminals which are there, and there are also 100 types of Android apps which will act like a C compiler and interpreter. So you can do your programming over there also. So C can be done on an Android phone, but best way is if you can do it on a computer, and especially on Linux, it's much more simpler. So first, let us talk about what an operating system is. I've already given you a link to a particular site in the Google Classroom, and I'll be talking from that particular link, and what are the topics over there, what are we to cover in that. So with this, I'm going to go back to that particular link, which I've kept open already. So this was the link which I had provided. This was the particular link which I had provided. So first, let us see what is an operating system. So the first definition of an operating system, a part of the definition is an operating system, OS, is a collection of software that manages computer hardware resources and provides common services for computer programs. So it is a collection of software. The first thing which you see that it is a collection of softwares, and it provides software, it manages computer hardware resources. Resources are what are the components added to that. So the operating system has got a connection to your hardwares, all the hard computer components of your computer, and it provides common services for computer programs. So all the computer programs are they are provided certain common services. Okay, let's see who's waiting in the lobby. So, and it is also an interface between a computer user and computer hardware. So through this operating system, I am basically using an operating system, and it is an interface. I am using Windows as an interface to communicate between the computer hardware, that is my monitor, my CPU, my memory processors, everything. So an operating system is also a software which performs all the basic tasks, like, for example, file management. You know what file management is, where you store your files. Memory management, where you store your data. Process management, what are the processes which are running. Handling input and output, you're typing into the keyboard and things are getting displayed on the screen, that is the output. And controlling peripheral devices such as disk drives and printers. So you're giving a print command and suddenly a page is getting printed out. So common operating systems are the Linux operating system, the Windows operating system, VMS, OS 400, Macintosh, or the Apple system which you have, Apple or Macintosh. Uh, so the most maximum people use Windows in this world, and the Linux is not far away. Linux is also used by many people, especially the people who actually work on computers and softwares, they need to know about Linux. So for following are some of the important functions of an operating system: memory management, processor management, device management, file management, security, control over system performance, job accounting, error detecting aids, coordination between other softwares and users. So it is used in managing the memory, storing information, storing the different processes are running together. An operating system makes it possible that you can run processes, different processes. One is a word system working, one may be the sound system working, one may be the video system working. So different processes are running parallelly. Then a device management, you have many other devices attached to this: pen drive, hard drive, my headphone. So it's also I have through buttons, through this buttons on this operating system on Windows, I click and then it works. It also you use it for file management, where your files are stored, in which folder you are storing which file. Security for your control, so that nobody hacks your computer. Control over system performance, whether you want a brighter resolution on your desktop or a lower resolution, or bright or dark or more or less, high grain, low grain, contrast, all these things are system performance. Whether you want it fast or slow. Job accounting, what are the works done, what are the processes done, jobs done, it accounts for that. It detects errors and problems, and it coordination between different other softwares and users. So we know that the applications of operating system: security, control over system performance, job accounting, where it keeps track of time and resources used by various jobs and users, error detecting aids, coordination between other software and users. So an operating system, therefore, is a program that acts as an interface between user and the computer hardware and controls the execution of all kinds of programs. So let us look what happens over here. User 1, user 2, user 3, many users are there. You have the software, system software, application softwares. You have the operating system. So you are going through the software and it controls your CPU, RAM, input output devices, the hardware. So your operating system in this flowchart lies in this region. There are a set of software which runs the system. There are such a set of software which runs applications. Both of them work on the operating system, and the operating system eventually gives your results to the CPU, RAM, input output devices. So what is memory management? Memory management refers to management of primary memory or main memory. So this is the main thing about memory management. What is processor management? Uh, uh, in multi-programming environment, the operating system decides which process gets the processor, when and for how much time. So if many processes are working together, one video, one audio, so the operating system decides which is going to go first and which is going to come next, which is going to get more slots, which is going to get less slots. So these processes are managed. Then you have the device management. It keeps track of all devices. Program responsible for this task is known as the input output controller, IO controller. So it manages device communications by their respective drivers. So you have a driver for audio, driver for video with their respective drivers, driver for touchpad, driver for mouse. So these particular drivers maintain communication with your operating system and your mouse, say for a touchpad or your device. For example, suddenly you install a new Windows on your computer, and then suddenly you see that sound is not playing. you don't have a sound card. It's a sound card is there, but the sound is not playing. So the computer engineer will say, okay, you have to download and install the driver. Nowadays, Windows gives all the drivers in a package, but when we used to use Windows 98 or Windows XP exclusively, we had to install. There was a one big CD from which you had to install so drivers so that this communication could take place. Then you had the file management. So a file system is normally organized into directories, folders, and directories. So this operating system provides the file explorer where you can sort of store your devices in different folders or directories. There are many other important activities. So operating systems are there from the very first computer generations and they keep evolving with time. So what are the types of operating system? First, we had the batch operating system. The users of a batch operating system do not interact with the computer directly. Each user prepares his job on an offline device like punch card and submits it to the computer operator. To speed up the processing, jobs with similar needs are batched together and run as a group. These programmers leave their programs with the operator, and the operator then sorts the program with similar requirements into batches. So you have used to have punch cards in former times. When I started working initially, when I was a young boy in school, we used to have these little punch cards. There were little dots and all. You had to punch your what you wanted to do. It was punched into a card, and these cards were and different processes. Say you want to print something, so a punch card was there for printing. So that all the commands were put in that card and that was given to the person who is to operate. That was a huge person with a big lot of work. He was a specialist. The computer was maybe the size of two or three big flats. So in that big processors and transistor, these chips, these punch cards were used to inserted as batch. First card, second card, third card, fourth card, and then it used to run there. Maybe it used to take a lot of time, and then the results used to come out. So directly, it's not like you are typing and you're getting the answer on your screen. It's not like that. So these were the batch operating system. Then you had time sharing operating systems. Time sharing is a technique which enables many people located at various terminals to use a particular computer system at the same time. Time sharing or multitasking is a logical extension of multi-programming. Processor time, which is shared among multiple users simultaneously, is termed as time sharing. The main difference, this is a question which may be asked, the main difference between multi-programmed batch system and time sharing system is that multi-programmed batch system, the objective is to maximize processor use, whereas in time sharing systems, the objective is to minimize response time. So in the same time, you're trying to do many things together. Then you have the distributed operating system. The distributed operating systems use multiple central processors to serve multiple real-time application and multiple users. Data processing jobs are distributed among the processors accordingly. These processors then communicate with one another through various connections such as high-speed buses or telephone lines. You have used to have a LAN connection those days or a WAN connections. Several computers, they were attached together through wires and they could it was former network, and one computer user could interact with the third computer users. Those were distributed operating system. So one operating system for all the three computers, and there were 3 computers, 3 users. They were doing perhaps one work or different jobs, but they were all connected. They could communicate among each other, not the internet. Then you have the modern network operating system, where remotely you can get somebody working from far away, like we are doing a network operating system from far away. I am interacting with you people through a network. A network operating system, the short note may be asked, what is a network operating system? A network operating system runs on a server and provides the server the capacity to manage data, users, groups, security applications, and other networking function. The primary purpose of the network operating system is to allow shared files and printer access among multiple computers in a network. So you have the Windows Server 2003 and modern. Now you even have the Ubuntu 21.01 server edition. You can do this even in Linux system. Ubuntu, you can make a server system. Last year, this year, the 21.04 was released. The 21.10 was released. It was the Impish Imp. It was a hippopotamus. In former times, the one which I use on my Linux laptop, the big black laptop which I have, that is Focal Fossa. That was the 20.04. In former times, I used to work with 18.04, that 0.10, that was the Bionic Beaver. Then uh, I started working with Linux 18 version only. I tried to use Linux 14 version, but it was too backward for my taste, and even my old computer also, I could not get network connection properly there. So currently I am using in this Windows and a virtual system, I am using your 21.10 Ubuntu and Bodhi Linux. And on my laptop, I'm using Linux 20.04, the Focal Fossa. It's working fine with me, no problems. Then you have the real-time operating system. A real-time system is defined as a data operating processing system in which the time interval required to process and respond to inputs is so small that it controls the environment. The time taken by the system to respond to an input and display of the required data information is termed as response time. So in this method, the response time is very less as compared to online processing. So it works a real-time system. Then you have the hard real. You don't need to study much about this. So let us go to. So following are the common services: program execution, input-output operations, file system manipulation, communication, error detection, resource allocation, protection. So these are the services which an operating system provides. The first is to execute a program. The second is input-output. IO input output devices and their corresponding driver software. So you have a driver for your keyboard, you have a driver for your mouse, you have a driver for your earphone, you have a driver for your monitor, you have drivers for everything. So this is also an input or output operation operator. Then you have a file system manipulation. This, of course, the file represents a collection of related information. Computer can store files on the disk, secondary storage for long-term purposes. Example of storage media include magnetic tape, magnetic disk, optical disk, like CD, DVD. And then, of course, a file system is organized into directory for easy navigation and uses. Then it can be used, operating system can be used for communication like we are using it. Then error handling, it checks for some errors which are happening. Then it says that your software is not updated, so you update your software. Then resource management. In case of multi-user or multitasking, which user gets how much amount of resources from the computer, it is decided by the operating system. Then, of course, protection, the virus, antivirus, Windows real-time protection. You have all these things working together. Then we come to the next part, that is the processing. We studied about batch processing, job 1, job 2, job 3, or whatever is sent to an operating system. And each one, there are 3 batches of jobs coming. They are sent to a CPU. And then the 3 batches are done one after the other. It takes much of the work of the operator to the computer. Batch processing. So all the 3 batches are taken over here. Then multitasking. So batch means they are working separately. 3 the things are working separately. The operating system is giving this job first, second job, then the third job. Look at this figure. And in multitasking, the operating system is converging it together in one point and sending it to the CPU. For example, Word, email, web browsing happening together. You're typing, you're browsing in a browser, and then you're sending an email. So this is how an multitasking processing works. Multi-programming. You have the operating system, job 1, job 2, so-called job n, and empty space. So sharing the processor, processor, when 2 or more programs reside in memory at the same time, is referred as multi-programming. Then the same thing, one more term which is very important, that is spooling. Spooling is an acronym for simultaneous peripheral operations online. Spooling refers of putting data of various I/O jobs in a buffer. This buffer is a special area in the memory or hard drive which is able to access input-output devices. So, from say the card reader, it is buffered, that it is or spooled into the memory. The disk can access it from, then it is spooled into the from the memory to the disk, and from the disk it's buffered beforehand. Programs are stored beforehand from the main memory, and then it is pulled again into the memory and it is sent to the printer. So already if it is there in the memory, this process is faster. It doesn't need from card reader to memory, from memory to disk, from disk to memory to printer. So it is already spooled over here before. Then we come to the part known as processes. A process is basically a program in execution. So a program which is executed is basically a process. You need to have this definition. So look at this uh, picture. When a program is loaded into the memory, it becomes a process. It can be divided into 4 sections. It's a stack of program, it's a heap of program, it's text and data. So text, data, heap, together they are the stack. So when it's loaded into promo, stack means it's stored. Heap means it's one on top of the other. Data is actually the individual data, and in the data it's a text which is typed. So stack. The process stack contains temporary data such as method, function, parameters, return address, and local variables. What is heap? This is dynamically allocated memory to a process during its runtime. Text. This includes the current activity represented by the value of the program counter and the contents of the processor's register. And you have data. This section contains the global static variables. Everybody knows. Then you have a program. So what is a program? A program is a piece of code which may be single line or millions of line. A program is usually written by a computer program in a programming language. So this is a C programming language. You have these codes. Then after this bracket, you actually, before printf, you write several things. If you, for example, run this program, if you say, for example, run this program, let us open one program. Just hold on, I'm opening it. So I'm just showing you that program. Where is it? Compile and run code. So this is the code chef. So I had copied and pasted the program over here. You wrote printf after all this. You wrote hello world, and I ran the program, and it executed hello world. So this was the result of your program. This was done in C++. You have done this in C++. So this was done in C++. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's see in let's paste it in C. This program which was there, it's running. Hello world. So instead of hello world, I can write whatever I want over here with this particular thing. I can write. I write, and there must be a backslash n, and this is how it should be written in this particular manner. And then if you run this, you can run this on your mobile also, code chef. I've given you the link. You can run this. You can type the program. Already that many things will be included. You can simply type inside this to make it very easy. You don't need to go back and reinvent the wheel and run on a compiler and interpreter on Linux. Already you have these online things available. Use them as a since you're a biology. If you were a computer programmer, I would have said go to your go and compile this program on the terminal. But I would not do this since already it's there. You simply run the program. Let's see what result comes over here. It's still running. And see, my name is Ornov. It has come over here. So basically, you should start this when you do include. You're including a package that is stdio.h. It's a C compiler package, and then you're integrating the program mainframe. Then you're giving this bracket. So all what you do in this program, a is equal to b, b is equal to a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, c is equal to a plus b, then print c. Instead of printf, you print c. You write in between printf bracket c, and then if you add backslash n, and if you say return 0, if you give this program, you will see that value of c, a plus b will come over here. So this is how basic programming is done. I've given you the link for the basic programming. You just copy those codes and paste in code chef, and then you can see that you will learn how to program in C. You will learn C programming. So basically what is programming? It is just a code which you are using. It is just simply you're telling the computer that this is what you have to do. You're giving it a set of logical instructions in a language which the computer can understand. The C compiler will convert it into binary, and the computer will understand, and it will process in the ALU and give you the output. So I am giving it in a particular C language, like Hindi or Bengali in a particular language, and this is a C language which I'm giving it. It has got specific rules, specific things, words I'm using there, specific for this. For example, if you go to C++, you will see that it is a bit different. If you go to Java, you can see in Java, the language is a bit different. If you go to Python, for example, Python, it's different. Python is much more simpler. Python, you can easily code things like, yeah, for example, import numpy as NP, because they use a lot of Python to do work. Then in the next step, I've typed it wrong. As say NP, I'm making an alias. Why is it changing? Then I go to the next step. Then I see let A is equal to NP dot array. So you want to make an array. You give a program, say 2, 4, 8, 10. You give this array, it's already closed. And then in Python, yeah, you're using a different language. You're saying print A. So the array is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It should come like that. So you're saying print A. And you're running the program. So there was an error. Therefore, it is saying there was a problem over here. So you have to give the language very properly. Only then you can get. Let's see. I hope I remember Python correctly. Let's see what the run comes. The computer was unable to understand. There was a compilation error. It was unable to compile. Ah, maybe here's the problem. I've given dots. There should be comma over here. I could not see it properly because of my fading eyesight. The problem was me. So print A. So you see the array 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 it being executed. So you could see the Python understands how to do an array over here. So like this, you can make even complicated arrays. You can make complicated numbers. You can even align different DNA sequences by using Python. So Python is so this is, say for example, this is print array 1. You can give a letter over here, print A1. In the next step, say print A2 is equal to np dot array, say for example, 6, comma, let's add 6 to all of them. You have added 6 to all of them. Now say you can write a1 plus a2. You're asking to, oh, I've written it wrong. A1 plus A2, you're asking the computer to run. Runtime error. So there is some problem, internet connectivity, which is not working. There are some errors which we can work with. It's going as a runtime error. Okay, let's get back to the main thing. So essentially, there are different languages which you will work. For example, C is something. My name is Ornov. You can say my name is Priya. You can say you can do standard deviation arrays. You can use different commands. You can do a lot of work from here. So basically, this is we get back. Let's get back to the main topic. So this is how what
Sir,
a
I have a
program is.
question.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Sir,
PK
as
has
we
got a
know,
question.
like there are different objectives behind every study. So why should we know about these languages and all?
Why should you know? Because nowadays in bioinformatics, you will use these languages to do bioinformatics studies. What is the you're predicting structures? For example, you have to predict any drug ligand interactions, any enzyme activity. You are predicting. Basically, you want to get all your life processes in a virtual computerized form. This is the essence of systems biology. So therefore, it is not that you're cutting cockroaches. It is a past biology. Nowadays, you have to predict sequences. You have to predict what are the important place in the protein, which is the DNA binding domain. Before you do the experiment, you need to do it. Then you have to make databases. So there are a lot of the applications of these bioinformatics. So to make all these softwares by which you will analyze, for example, let's get to one of these softwares they use. You go to a basic local alignment tool. You have it in your syllabus. So basic local, say for example, you go to a
Is
nucleic
it blast?
blast. So you have to give a sequence over here. So all this particular blast, this was been done by this was done by using Python. This software was constructed by using Python. Then yeah, there is another program known as XPASI. So it has got this protein ID. This is used for this particular site is used for getting the modeling the structure of what is the protein or some modeling protein structure homology modeling. So where do we get all these things? These have been used made by these computer languages. These have been sort of programmed. So these are the things. So in our KNU, Suprabhat Mukherjee does a lot of these researches. Even our former students like Ritik, even seniors Shampurna, Ritik, they are all working. Even now Shomodip also, they will be also working with all these particular bioinformatics studies. There are a lot of publications which have come out. So Suprabhat Mukherjee is working on all these wonderful. He's doing excellent work with already a publication which came out in the newspaper was his work with COVID-19 protein structure. Certain protein structures he aligned from West Bengal and from KNU itself, from our small Asansol. This came out in the international newspapers. He's doing excellent with one of my former students. He used to study tuition in my place, Ovigan. With Ovigan and he, both of them, they published it in a newspaper. They saw that there's certain similarities that it came from bats. This particular COVID, it mutated from bats. He did an alignment sequence homology. So, so these are these things are all made from these specific software programming. These have done these are software. So you all have got a code in between underlying. So once if you have a say an interaction, a protein X is binding with protein Y, and you have got an interaction, you have got a published data. So if you get the code of it, you can separate virtually both the proteins, and then you can use particular part of that protein, you can select it out, and then you can model, okay, this particular protein says is a virus, a viral protein. So you can design molecules. So a molecule should have this particular structure and it should bind to this particular region, ligand, and then there should, after this binding, it can be used as a drug. So you first in silico, you show this interaction. Then with the help of chemicals, you synthesize this, and then biologically you do the experiment, and you inject animals and cell culture systems, and then you can see whether this drug has got effect or not. So it all starts with this molecular modeling. So if you get a virtual map of all the living processes, then it's very easy. You simply, oh, you have to synthesize a compound like this. You have to synthesize an X compound. You need to add a bromine group over here. You add a bromine group, you have a new antibiotic formed. So it works like this. So this is a program. Am I clear, Priya?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a computer program that performs a well-defined task is known as algorithm. A collection of computer program libraries and related data are referred to as software. Today, I did not go much into software programming. For that, I will program one day on this particular code shape with C. Today, I was trying to show you a bit of what are the different languages. And it's been several many years since I've used, not many years, maybe 5 or 6 years since I've used C and Python. A long time after I joined college, I've stopped working on these on research work. So when I was in the company in 2014-15, I used to in 15 I joined the college. Before that, I used to do molecular modeling and then used to work with drug design and targeting, and I used to do the experiment myself. I was the team lead over there and I used to work there. So long time. So we had to learn all these programmings ourselves in order to first make a drug. You want to make a drug against a particular thing. So how do? You have to first model this drug. You need data. How do you analyze the data? You need programs. So you had to use extensive software programming. So you had to make these programs to analyze the bioinformatic data, and then you could easily done it. So it's many years. So there are certain languages. So you could compile all these. I used to use Python predominantly. I had to also learn C, Python, a bit of Java, Perl. So for biologists, C is important more than C, Python and Perl. These two languages are very important for a biologist to learn. So I will continue this on the next day, life cycle. We are in this part. So we have process scheduling, algorithm, multi-threading, memory management, and all these things, security, as well as a bit of Linux. Linux, we will operating system. We will continue on the next class. Otherwise, it will become an overload in this class. So I will immediately inform you when I will take the next class. So if you people have got any questions, you are feel free to ask me questions. Questions ache?
No, sir.
Okay, go through it. Go through these notes. This link. This is a good link. This is perhaps the best link. I was thinking about giving you people the book which I used to read, but I thought that that's a huge book. But I think this is much better. You go through this, and I think you'll get all the questions. Whoever sets the paper, you'll get all the questions coming from this place itself about operating system. In
Sir, what
former
is the
times,
name of the book to read?
you see, I've already posted it already in the classroom.
Okay. Hmm.
You read read this link. I've given you this link. I think that is good enough. It's even better. So you see how you can do
Okay,
I just
sir.
gave you a brief how do you do a program. In former times, we used to open a terminal. For example, I can show you how we used to open a terminal. Let's see. So let's go for a screen. So we used to go to whatever screen is to come. Let me go to Linux. Let me open a Ubuntu, a Linux system. Is it visible? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Hmm. So I'm just loading Ubuntu on my system. This is a Linux operating system, Linux distro it's called, Linux distro. I'm using a virtual box. So Linux is going to open up right now. So this is how, this is the impish hippo. This is the hippo, this line Linux, which I use over here. So you need to go to a terminal, a Linux terminal. Are you able to see? আমাকে একটু বলে দাও যে
Yes, sir.
okay, okay. So for example, the command which you practiced over on your mm, I'm using Linux. This is not Windows. So on a virtual box, I'm using Linux. So for example, pwd. So where present working directory, where your directory is located, it is home or nob. So if you go to the files, for example, home. So this is home or nob. This is basically home or nob. You can even go even back. You can go even back. This is the home folder which you have. You can go to other locations on this computer. You can go to, these are all the other locations there. This is where my home is. You have the root folder here where of the Linux, which is very important. This is the home. Here you have home or nob. And here is your desktop, all my documents, nothing over here, but all my documents download, for example, Mendeley desktop and all these things I have downloaded over here. And Mendeley is there, templates, my files, Zotero videos, or all these are located in my Linux stuff is located over here. So I don't know. Let's go to the terminal. So it's home Orno. Say, for example, what's there inside Orno? What are the directories inside Orno? You can write list ls. So these are the directory. I've got desktop. You have seen, see, desktop, music, public, videos, documents, locate, my link files, snap, Zotero, templates, picture, Mendeley. So you can see if you go to home or no, desktop, downloads, the documents, locate, Mendeley, you can see all these folders right over here in the terminal. So for example, you can use IPython over here. For Python, for example, I've said what Python. Right. Oh, Python, IPython 3. Say, for example, you load VirtualBox, Python default, it's already loaded. Say, for example, I write type 5 plus 5. So the output is coming 10. Say absolute value, ABA, absolute value, I'm saying 10.654. Press enter. It's not coming like this. 10 point. Oh, sorry. This is round. You're rounding 10.654. Getting 11. Now absolute value, that is all value, negative value will become positive. So say absolute value minus 4, it will become positive. You get the absolute value. So write 7 into 2. You can say hello world. See, it is printing hello world. So nowadays, this was you are working on a Linux compiler. This is you are using a terminal. So also you can say, so I have quit IPython now, and now I've come back ls. So these are the directory ls. Say uh, you go to lslrt. You can see all it comes as a list. D is a directory. This gives you the permissions which you have over here. So there are totally 52 files and all in present over here. D means directory, read, write, X, write. So you have all the permissions which are there, what you can do with it. So these are the
Sir,
different. হ্যাঁ বলো।
sir,
এটাই
is it reverse there?
একই ব্যাপার, you can also say it as L8. You can see even the hidden files also. You can write it in reverse also if you want. You can write it as straight also. Instead of R, you can say RT also. All these dot means these are all the hidden files which are coming over here. You can see hidden files. So this is the first thing which the task which home task which I had given you. ls, lrt and pwd, the first 3 Linux compiler commands. You can do this on your Android phone also. On Termux, and there are even 101,000 apps you can search. You can find, but Termux is a good one which I use normally used to use on mobiles. So you can use that. You can do your programming. All your programming can be done on mobile. It is just a bit inconvenient. On computer, it is easier to do it. But you can do it. You can do your C programming, the code chef. You can do the code chef over here. Now you see this is very
Sir, how to save this session? যে
quite.
সেশনটা করলাম আমরা সেই সেশনটা সেভ করব কিভাবে?
You can save this. There are ways to you can save this. There are
Sir,
ways.
there were two options like session 1 exit and acquire where lock. What is it? I mean, where lock? I didn't recognize it.
You don't have to recognize it right now. Concern yourself with this one, otherwise you will get confused. Otherwise, therefore I'm saying go step by step. This is the thing which you did. You did it on an Android. On an Android it will be different. And now if you do it on a Linux system, it will look a bit different. But basically, this is what I have it in Linux. For example, you came with your home directory. So in your home directory, you had nothing there. So therefore, found nothing there, just found a backslash only. So then you went a bit back, then you found out everything. And permissions, you don't have permission to access everything on Linux. Otherwise, you will destroy your phone. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
and the same thing you can do it much more easily. If you say, for example, this Python, you can use do the same thing much more easily in your certain notebooks and online Code Chef. You can do this much more easily in Code Chef. So let's close this over here. Power off. You can do this also in Bodhi Linux. But if you go to Code Chef, for example, go to Python 5 plus 5. You can do I think it's better to do it on another Python. So I think best you can. So all these difficult things which you did, you could do this on Code Chef also. And you can do it on another program known as Jupyter Notebook. This is specifically for Python. 5 plus 5. So I'm showing you the simple way to save it. So 5 plus 5, you press run, it is output 10. You can save this over here. Save as, you can save this, save the file. So if all these sessions, you can save like this. If you use a Jupyter Notebook for doing Python, you can easily save. I will explain this Jupyter Notebook later if we have time. But first we must finish our C programming. You don't need to go to these difficult compilers and do. When you have already discovered a car, why do you have to rediscover a wheel? My saying is you have got all the easy techniques ahead. You're not a computer software engineer. You're a biologist. You need to. Why do you have to go and discover a wheel? You don't need to do it. Okay, so let's stop over here. And your questions, I could take some questions if you have. Questions ache, Karur?
No, sir.
Okay, then next day I will tell you when I will be taking my class. I will inform you, and we will continue with this. And my target is to introduce you people to C programming and Python programming, as well as some bioinformatics and BLAST, multiple sequence alignment, how you do work it. The ones which which are easy, not the complex ones. I'll do the easy ones so that you people don't get overburdened by things. And this will, for example, if you go for a research career in bioinformatics, you people can walk into it easily. Nowadays, it is very essential, you know, computer programming for a biologist or a physicist or a chemist. Also, I would advise you people to learn LaTeX, how to make manuscripts and documents. Learn LaTeX somewhere ever possible. In this free time, download from the online internet, you can learn all this LaTeX. So the Overleaf is one online LaTeX site. You can use them. So it's very useful. ঠিক আছে, আমি শেষ করছি এখন ক্লাসটা।
Okay, sir.
ওকে।